What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Sutton Sanctuary Podcast.
Brand new episodes with special guests and myself coming to you weekly.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so you guys are up to date and get notified right whenever those new episodes are dropped.
Once you guys are done with that, head on over to Hydrate12 IV Therapy and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram and get your IV scheduled today.
The Sutton Sanctuary Podcast on YouTube and Spotify, as always. Thank you guys for watching. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the Sutton Sanctuary Podcast. Sitting down with us today, local hero, some would say, Mr. Courtney Johnson. Courtney, nice to meet you, man.
Likewise, man.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I was doing some research, checking you out for those that maybe don't know who you are yet or just getting familiar with you. I was looking through the owner and the director of Young and Established. You got the merch on, the Y&E.
It's a throwback. So
The throwback.
yeah.
It says last year you just took a role at the Evansville Housing Authority. You're part of Evansville City Council at large. You've got a life coaching business as well as established marketing business. You're also a husband, a father. You've got 2 kids at home.
Yeah.
Where do you find the time, bro?
Man, balance, discipline,
Yeah.
all those things, and there's a lot more too, man. We won't go into all of that, but yeah, my wife and I have a event business too, 224 events. So we got
Cool.
like those photo booths that we rent out, and then we also go with other events and
Yeah.
speaking engagements, man, and the list goes on. And it's a lot of other stuff, but yeah, discipline and balance. Family comes first, so I always make sure I'm taking care of that as far as a father and as far as a husband.
Yes, sir.
But man, I love what I do, so I think that plays a part too. With just doing all of these things that you named, I love it. So it's not really a job to me. This is something that is a call and a purpose. So all of them will all evolve around helping people and giving back.
No doubt. You're from Evansville.
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised and grew up here?
Yeah.
What was that like growing up for you here?
It was great. My dad, my mom, amazing parents, grew up playing sports. I got an older brother. We all in the neighborhood, just was outside. That was one of the things that, whether it was playing basketball or just football or whatever it was, we were outside riding bikes and all kinds of stuff. So my childhood was great, man. My dad's now a retired firefighter. My mom, worked at Sears for 40 years. So, I mean, just normal life, man. But I just really was blessed to have a lot of, family and people pouring into me at a young age. But, yeah, growing up was great, man. I had, normal childhood, but a lot of good things, happen over the years.
For sure. The reason I kind of asked that, I was just thinking, I was looking through what you do before we get going any farther for the people that don't know, because what I'm really interested in, what I think, I don't know if a lot of people know or maybe haven't heard about yet, but the Young and Established and everything that you guys are doing, taking care of the youth of the community. You guys are out in the communities every day, it seems like. Always got something else going on. So the reason I kind of asked that was I didn't know if there was like maybe in the way you were brought up, that's why you feel the need, I just didn't know where that kind of connection, where that kind of started from.
So my parents, they both of them give back. Both of them have always been just giving people. My whole entire family, to be honest. But man, I always cared about people, and it really started kind of in high school, leading into college. But the story, I'm sure people have heard it a million times, but those that haven't, when I was at Indiana State, because I went to 4 different colleges. I went to Kentucky Wesleyan first, left there, went to Ivy Tech here, and then left here and went to Indiana State, left there, and then finished up at USI. So it was a little crazy. I bounced around a little bit, but at Indiana State, when I got there, I told myself I just want to get involved in everything. So on campus, off campus, I literally was doing anything that you can think of, whether it was mentoring. I did Big Brothers Big Sisters, started a mentoring program, joined SGA. I was throwing parties. That was something I started doing when I was in middle school that led all the way up into, me doing, I'm still doing, I wouldn't call it parties, but more like charity events and different things like that.
Right.
But I've always had a passion for, helping people. And when I was in Indiana State, I was noticing a lot of people were coming to my parties, 700, 800 some people. I'm like, man, if I can get people to come to a party, I can get people to come to an event.
Yeah.
Obviously, 800 people wouldn't show up to go pick up trash on a Saturday, but it was a nice group of folks that, would show up to want to serve and want to give back. So it just kind of started from there. And when I moved back home to go to USI, I was, wanting to continue to do what I was already doing, but I didn't see a lot of things that were happening. So I started to just create things. And one of the things was I wanted to mentor, a kid from, well, it was two schools at the time, Lodge and Glenwood. I went to Lodge, but I knew the principal at both schools. So I pretty much just said I want to mentor a kid from each one of these schools. And make a long story short, I ended up getting 8 at one school and then 3 at another. So they brought in more kids than what I asked for, which was crazy at the time. In college, working 2 jobs, and now I have 11 kids that I'm about to, mentor and do as much as I can to help them, along the way. So that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah. I saw it, you guys would have started, it was like back around 2013 or so, whenever.
2013.
How did that start? I know you guys are now brick and mortar, and you guys got a nice big building that you're working out of now. And before that, was this just out of the house, just in the schools?
Just in the schools.
Is that a pretty like common thing? This mentor program, because see, like where I'm, like where I grew up at, it was very small, and you didn't see the amount of kids probably struggling at the scale that you're seeing it, like in Evansville, just because it was just so small of an area. But is the mentorships, is that a pretty popular? Is there a lot of people that get involved in that?
Man, to be honest, at the time it wasn't. I just knew of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I mean you got the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and a few other organizations. But the mentoring that I was doing was a little different. So what I noticed was, even with Big Brothers Big Sisters, when I was doing it in Terre Haute, they really push you to do once a week or once a month, and I'm like, I can't build a relationship with a kid.
Sure.
When I'm just going once a week, maybe 30 minutes, or, some people were doing once a month. Because we were in college and, we had a lot of other things going on, but I was like, I need to, do a little bit more. So with me, here, I was actually going 2-3 times a week. And again, I have 11 kids at 2 different schools at the time, but eventually it was 3 because some graduated and I went to Bossy. So I was going to Lodge, Bossy, and Glenwood and spending, hours with these students in between, classes and lunch and all these different things. So it was a lot of time spent. I can't even explain to you how much I was able to basically learn from them, but then our relationship just grew over the years. But it wasn't easy because obviously they were not raised the same way as me. As I mentioned before, I have a big family, and I had a lot of people pouring into me. So to work with young people that didn't really have one person that they could call on, or one person that they could depend on, was kind of crazy, at the time, because I'm looking at sixth, seventh graders at the time when I first started, and to be that young and I have not one person when I asked, how many of you guys can actually call somebody or just talk to somebody about everyday life stuff, and only a few of them raised their hand. I'm like, wow, this is more than half of these students that really don't have anybody. So it kind of had me thinking about how many other students. This is just 2 schools and 11 kids. Can you imagine, thousands of kids here in Evansville that are probably dealing with some of the same issues. So that's really, how this thing kind of took place. And I just would go to the schools and just mentor. And they gave me, the principals loved that I was even wanting to do it. So they just kind of gave me an open door policy. I could come in whenever I wanted to. But then too, the grades, I had access to everything, and we did some paperwork and whatnot. So I'm not just, coming in and stepping on anybody's toes, but the parents agreed with it, the ones that were involved. But no, that's kind of how it all started. I mentored them for 9 years.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, well, shout out to the principal of that school, for all of those schools, for allowing you to come in and do that. And
for sure.
Yeah, especially like the grades and stuff you're talking about, because there's a lot of people that it looks good online to get involved here and there, or whatever it is. But to actually, for one, you're there, you're putting the time in, and you're not just putting the time in the relationships, but checking up on the grades and actually following through on seeing that these kids are getting help that they need. Um, there was a, it, I like kind of what you just said about like I mean, I don't like, but I think it's good to think about probably the amount of kids that don't feel like they have that
Yeah.
one person or anybody in their life that they can talk to. I was the same way. I grew up in a very loving family, and I had tons of people around me, and there were still times where I was just complete felt like I was by myself or alone or whatever the case may be. And I've never actually been,
Yeah.
thank God I was never someone that went through that or didn't have family or people. So yeah, the amount of people or kids out there that are going through it. And you had made a tweet, and I didn't write it down word for word, but it was just talking about the youth of the kids, the vaping
Yeah, that one kind
epidemic.
of grabbed some attention.
Yeah, I'll read it. I screenshotted it. I didn't write it down. I screenshotted it
Yeah.
just so everyone can hear what you had said. He said, honestly, I'm worried about the state of our youth today, the vaping epidemic, violence, mental health issues, and high suicide rates, along with cuts to after-school programs, a lack of parental guidance, and limited safe environments. It's really going to take a village. Um, and like I kind of was mentioning earlier, a discussion I was having with another guy, there's a lot going on, it seems like, in the world, and it seems like the children are under attack the most right now.
They really are, man. And I think after COVID, it really, I don't feel like it was already, some issues that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
And doing this for 12, 13 years, I've seen a lot. But the
Mm-hmm.
past 5 years, I mean, literally, like during COVID, after COVID, it just, went downhill. And I think
Yeah.
we really didn't have anything in place for our kids. We just, once everything opened back up, everybody just went back to, their normal schedule. And the kids really, took a hit. You
Yeah.
gotta think a lot of kids just being at home,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably for some not the best environment. And
Sure.
school was that escape.
Sure.
You're gonna get a meal, you're gonna be safe, you're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
around some positive people.
Yeah.
So a lot of that affected, our students, and I know because
Right.
I'm in it.
Yeah.
I've talked to students, and I don't think a lot of our kids had that much support,
Mm-hmm.
during that time. So now
Yeah.
you're looking at kids that didn't have the resources either at the time. I know you'll get a chance to come to our center, but when I show people, we have this big box in there, which is community Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's separate from our Wi-Fi, so it shoots out into the community.
Okay.
So I saw a picture go viral. I don't know where it was at, but a student was sitting outside of I think a McDonald's and was using their Wi-Fi. We had kids doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
The ones that, really pushed, because some students, they're gonna, and I don't want to say it's an excuse, but it is a pretty good excuse. I got to leave my home and walk, however far you got to walk to sit outside to use the Wi-Fi to do the homework. When other students had access to, Wi-Fi, they could just click a button and there they are. They could do their homework. So a lot of our students didn't have access to Wi-Fi. So that means, I can't do my work. But then also they didn't have access to reach out to a teacher for help or to ask questions. So it was a lot that was going on during that time, but they still got passed. They still went to the next grade. So you can only imagine a student that didn't learn nothing all year going to the next grade.
Yeah. Eventually it's going to catch up.
Oh, for sure. And it did.
For some of these kids that are, typically I feel like the ones that are having to walk however far just to find some sort of internet connection, or they probably have so many other things going on in their life to be worried about than me getting down 2 miles down the road so I can turn in this English paper later or whatever the case may be. Some of these kids are just wondering, like, when's the next time I'm going to eat?
Yeah.
And
I mean, literally all of that.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like, at what point did the kids just get passed up, and just get left behind, it seems like. I know, like, kind of in that tweet said, like, the lack of parental guidance. And yeah, it just makes you wonder. It's like, at what point did we get to this spot where you see kids struggling the way that they are?
Man, to be honest, I think it's just been building and building. And to look at, and I actually just did a news interview and I got emotional, man. Like we just did something last week and they are doing a story on it. Literally cause they saw it on Facebook. It did a little bit more on Facebook than it did on Twitter.
I gotcha.
But like I said, it really caught a lot of people's attention. So the news reached out to me, and basically they're doing a segment on this, and they talked to the police because obviously they are seeing the numbers go up too, and it's young people, that age 14 to 21, from the violence, from the drugs,
Numbers going up in
as far as what we're seeing, young
just
people just
basically
acting out.
everything negative.
Yeah, a lot of negativity, and it's just getting younger and younger. So that's the reason why I even put that out there. And it was just a bunch of stuff that was happening that I just had to put something out there because I think a lot of people just don't know. If you don't do this work, you don't know.
Right.
And one of the things, the vaping, we got kids selling and smoking, vapes at 5th grade, 6th grade.
Jeez.
This is like cases that, that are going on. And I don't think people realize, how that's affecting, our kids and just the peer pressure, kids seeing a friend do it or one of their peers doing it, they want to try it. So that's kind of some of the stuff that we're seeing. And then, man, I can go on and on. We got teachers that are quitting left and right. We've lost hundreds of teachers in the past.
Just kids out of control. They just
I
can't
think
do
it's
it.
But everything.
Yeah.
Just not having the support.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of the teachers feel, not some, a lot, feel underpaid.
Sure.
And then just all the stuff that comes with it. I'm in these classrooms. I'm in the schools. And not every school, but, there's some that I'm a lot more involved in because of our kids being, in that district, in that area. But the stuff that I see in the hallways, I'm there and I get the respect. Yeah, so they may take their do-rag off or not cuss when they see me, but some of these teachers, how they're talking to the teachers and how they're acting out in class, it's hard for them to teach. It's hard for them to do their job. So it's a number of things that, I'm seeing in the schools, but then too, the lack of motivation, to want to be something. When you ask these kids, I go all over, not just in Evansville, but a lot of different places, even out of state. And I talk to young people, and a lot of them just don't have that motivation to want to be something,
Right.
What do you want to be when you grow up? We would, my dad's a firefighter or retired. I used to be a firefighter.
Yeah, I had something.
A lot of these kids are like, no, I don't know. And that's okay. Some that say that, but it's just like, I don't even care. Not that I don't know. It's like,
I got you.
I don't even care.
Right.
To want to be something or to strive to be great. And I'm like, man, I'm seeing more of that.
I don't know. That's like, is that like parents putting these kids down, or just like maybe not even like intentionally put them down, but just like not showing them proper love and care? So it's like in return, it's like, okay, well, you don't care, so like I don't like.
I think it can be a bunch of different things. What you're seeing, on a day-to-day, whether it's at home, whether it's on social media. And that was another thing that I touched on, the social media stuff, what they're looking at, what they think is cool.
Right.
I mean, taking care of your family, you don't have to, be a husband or a wife or anything, but just being a good person, seeing that on the day-to-day is important. But when you ask, them those kind of things, who is a positive influence in your life, or who is somebody that you think is, a role model, and some of the stuff that you hear, I'm like, I don't know if that guy, really, And again, I'm not saying people are going to live their lives, but I'm like, I don't know if that is somebody you should be, looking up to based off of what, I've seen and what I know that they do.
Right.
So those are things that I think all play a part. But, man, it's just, again, I haven't seen things this bad since I've been doing this work. So that's why I put that out there, because I'm like, I don't think people really understand what we're dealing with right now. They're just seeing stuff on the news, but it's deeper than that, man.
Yeah, you catch one headline clip on the news on a Saturday morning,
deeper.
And then you've forgotten about it by that afternoon.
Most definitely, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. Something on social media or something they see on the news, and it hits you. And then some people go back to their everyday life, and I'm like, what can I do?
Right.
As a person that is involved and has been involved for over a decade, how do I play my part? And when I said it
Sure.
takes a village, all of us can play a part. Like, I'm not telling you to open up a community center. I'm not even telling you to mentor a kid, but what can you do
Right.
to support, and give back to our community?
What would be a good step if there was someone listening to this that is maybe starting to get their eyes open a little bit to kind of how bad things are getting, especially for our youth, and maybe they find themselves at home right now and they're like, well, I don't really know where to even go or how I could be of any sort of help.
Man, I would say figure out what you're passionate about, or figure out those that are actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't volunteer your time, figure out how to support those that are giving back and those that are pouring into this community. And I think that's the best way to start. And I'm not saying you got to donate money or you got to donate your time. You could share a post on Facebook. Maybe you
Definitely.
can't do anything, but you can share. If we're asking, and I'm just using us as an example,
Mm-hmm.
if we're asking for canned goods or something, you can't do anything, you can put that out there. You could tell somebody. So
Yeah.
everybody can do, a little bit of something.
Yeah. Everybody probably knows somebody that could help or
Most
would be
definitely.
willing to help in some sort of way. It just seems like it's like people are afraid to get involved. It's like people have become almost like afraid of this. Like kind of what we're talking about. It's like I don't know. It's like I hate to think that people know and are just like they know what's going on. And they're like, yeah, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
Or like it just seems like it's too much almost. Like even adults are just like, I don't even know.
I see that. And I don't blame people for that because it is a lot, to be honest. I mean, I don't think people really, and as I mentioned before with that interview, it's heavy,
Yeah.
That's why I got emotional. Like, I legit, and I feel like I told them on a lighter note, like, when you have kids, man, I feel like you just get softer.
Yeah.
I can break down now just in a heartbeat, but like I told them the same thing, I'm telling you, like this is something that I'm so passionate about. Like I don't play around with this. Like
Yeah.
this is my life. These are people that, may need help or are really looking for somebody to pour into them or to give,
Yeah.
some type of assistance, some type of help. And we got, a lot of folks that's out here and organizations that are doing good work. And again, this is something that like I love this.
Yeah.
And when I say I love it, like this is not a job to me. This is
Right.
something I'm very, very passionate about. And when I say it's a calling, I mean that.
Yeah.
So I can tell when somebody's genuine or when somebody's really doing things for the right reason because I've
Right.
been doing this for so long. So you do get a little bit of that. And I know we'll probably touch on that later, but as far as, I've sat down with executive directors that run nonprofits, and I can tell that they don't
Yeah.
care about it.
The heart's not in it.
Yeah, the heart's not in it. It could be a paycheck. It could be, you're not from this area, so I don't really care too much about that.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of that since I've been doing this work. But
Yeah.
man, I truly care about this, and I think that with people coming together, and I want to focus on some positive too. What I've seen since we've opened that community center, and even when we started Young and Established, just the support. The community has
Yeah.
always supported us. But over the past few years, man, I don't think people realize how much support we truly get.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get the city funding, the big grants from the city and all of that. We've
Right.
had to be creative and get support, outside of Evansville, because it is politics. It is a
Yeah.
lot that goes on that people don't really know behind closed doors. And
Right.
I don't want to be in certain circles. I
Yeah.
just want to stay over here,
Yeah.
serve, do my thing, and get others inspired and get others to do the same. And that's
Yeah.
what we've been able to do is just get the support of the community. And I think that's why we grow every year as an well, not even every year, every day I feel like we're growing.
Yeah.
But our organization is different. There's nothing like it. Whether it's in Evansville or in the state of Indiana, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really a grassroots organization. The things that we do, our resources, the things that we have, done is really based off of what people have said they needed.
Right.
I'm not just gonna come in and say I think these people.
Yeah.
No, they've said that or I've seen it. So that's I know I went on a little rant, but that's kind of our organization as a whole. What can we do to continue to support our community? And that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah, it definitely shows, and especially if anyone does any sort of research just into yourself, you can figure out very quickly because a lot of times whenever you see people involved in these kind of things, or sometimes you see you're like, well, I have kids in the age group, so now it's piqued my interest a little bit more. And all of this started well before you had kids.
Oh, for sure.
Well before.
Yeah.
From what, like I said, I kind of got. I know you have 2 younger kids, and this started way back in 2013. So to see someone putting the right foot forward whenever they don't even have skin in the game, I guess you could say. They don't, you didn't even have kids, and this was still at the top of your priority list. I think that's the whole reason what sets Y&E apart from everyone else that does it is because of the compassion from the top, all the way to the bottom. Like you said, kind of shifting. We don't have to talk about all the negatives the whole time, but because you've done lately, I was going to bring up, you just had Greg Oden in town, which was huge.
Man, big deal.
Big deal, yeah, huge deal. I was so bummed that I wasn't able to make it and get to be there for that. We were planning to, and then, like I said, we had some stuff. We were out of town that Friday, so we didn't end up getting to make it. But I talked to Spencer, and he said he had made it and he was there, and I said it went over really good. How'd the kids react to that? Did they understand really who Greg Oden was? Were they able to understand who that man is?
Nah,
because he was like that.
Yeah, I try to tell them.
He was like that.
And they all ball play. Well, not all, but some of them play ball or watch basketball, so they know the LeBrons and all these players. Ja Morant.
Dropped a second behind that guy.
Man, listen.
Behind Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like that.
He broke that down to them too, and I think that kind of helped when he broke down, the draft.
Yeah.
And who he, was in the draft pick with.
Right.
But no, it was an amazing event. It's something that again, it just goes back to a lot of the things that I love to do and that I'm passionate about. So having events like that are for our community, not just for the kids, but I think everybody benefited from hearing his story, because he talked about, depression. He talked about mental health and, being at the highest and then being at his lowest. And, what do you do after basketball? So, I mean, that kind of happened pretty fast for him.
Yeah.
He had a short career,
unfortunately.
but just a great guy, and we got mutual friends, and shout out to Spence, because Spencer,
shout out to Spencer
put that together, man. And he knows about Young and Established, so
he was the one that put me on to you.
Yeah, well, hey, he's doing a lot, man.
So shout
out to him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But he's just a great guy as well. But he heard about some of the things we were doing, and I told him about who I was looking to bring before. And that just kind of, her schedule got crazy busy, but that's still going to happen too. There's just a lot of people.
Is that a surprise?
Yeah, that's, and there's a few.
Cool.
We just got to work out, the schedules.
Cool.
A lot of these individuals are busy, and they have a lot going on, but they know of our organization and the work that we do, so they've already made that commitment on, look, I'm coming. We just got to figure it out.
For
and
sure.
He was, quick with it. As soon as I reached out, we chopped it up. He did his research, and I said, let's get this thing going. I put a flyer out, and the rest was history. But when he got here, man, he came straight to the center, and he was blown away,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like this. And I said, I think it's better for people to actually come into the space. I can send you pictures. You can look at it on social media. And his exact words too, when you come in here, this is different.
Yeah.
The feeling. Yeah. When people come in there, that's what I want, them to actually feel it. And the kids was there. I don't know if you saw the video. They ran up to him, shaking his hand, introducing themselves. And that's what we teach. That's what they, learn from us. That's stuff that we do. So they see that. But him just, being able to come by the space and kick it, and then the event was just amazing too. Great feedback. We had to switch venues, last minute, but everything worked out the way it was supposed to. And,
gotcha. Too many people? You needed a bigger
no, Bossy, so anytime there's weather like that, EVSC had to cancel all after school activities.
Gotcha.
So they didn't let us know until, school was almost out by the time we found out. So I made a couple calls, and City View, I mean, they're just amazing. I use that venue literally for almost everything.
Where's that at?
It's on Fulton. It's kind of close to Haney's, not Haney's Corner, Franklin Street.
Okay.
I'm terrible with streets and directions. But yeah, City View is just, they're just amazing. They always come through. So we switched it, and it was a little bit more intimate, and I like it. I like it that way because it just was more personal.
Yeah.
And it worked out the way, but I always try to take stuff back to my old high school and show them love. But things happen, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I love seeing that stuff, man. Guys like that could go about their life and be just fine and not have to get involved. But to see guys like Grego and like yourself that are, in these great positions and are doing positive things with it, it's awesome to see. I was also curious about I think it was yesterday, the day before, you had made the post a story about the greenhouses, and I didn't know what that was all about. Was that at Y&E?
No, no, no.
Or are you guys gonna get something like that going, or?
Yeah, we are. Super passionate about gardening. My wife and I started around COVID time, and we were like, we should teach the kids this. So
Yeah,
we have, some raised beds at our community center, but then also we have some land that we purchased as well, and that was also passed down. So we got a big project that we're working on. It's called Granddaddy's Garden Spot. It's in a food desert. It's an area that they need a lot. And I
gotcha.
kind of grew up in that area as well. So we have been working on this for about 2 years, and kind of came across some I guess you can call them obstacles that we were able to
Hmm.
overcome. But yeah, so we've been in the works of getting things like this together. But that setup was Seed and Harvest. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
It's not too. It was kind of out by USI, but their setup.
I gotcha.
We kind of crossed paths. It's crazy how things work, and I'll give you a quick story. The lady that reached out to me, I actually saw her at the Fall Fest. I was parking because we got a booth down there. So
I heard you got the biggest booth at the Fall Fest.
oh
Is that
man,
true?
listen,
Is that true?
I'll let whoever
Huh?
told you that let them
The
speak on
biggest
that.
booth at the Fall Fest, guys. You're looking at them.
We do get a lot of love down there. Man.
Yeah.
Westside Nightclub said we were one of the busiest booths. Our
Good.
first, second, I think this was our third year, but I get years and days and all that
Oh, yeah.
stuff mixed up. But I was parking, man, and trying to hurry up and get down there because it's a lot of work and our setup time and all of that. So a lady stopped me, gave me her card, and said, "I want to connect with you." Well, we exchanged cards,
Hmm.
and like 6 months later, she reached back out, and she's actually connected to this farm. But
I gotcha.
we were able to build a relationship, man, and it's crazy how stuff like that works because that's a lot of what Y&E has done. Me personally,
Mhm.
meeting people and then connecting with individuals and not even knowing what we're going to do in the future or even
Right.
looking for that. We just,
Right.
kind of connect or whatever, happens. But yeah, we
Yeah.
connected, man, and finally got to go out there and check out what they were doing.
Mhm.
And I haven't seen a setup like that
Yeah.
ever. Just clean, organized, and just well put together. But we've, talked about a partnership and we got the
Yeah.
ball rolling on some stuff. So I'm excited about, what we got coming up.
You made a comment about food deserts.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little more? That's the first time I've heard it referenced. If I'm assuming I'm taking it the way you meant it.
Yeah.
Food deserts, as in just places where income's low,
Most definitely.
not a lot of food on the table at night, or
And not to cut you off.
no, you're good.
So basically areas that don't have, we could say, grocery stores and
Okay.
there's not a lot of access,
Mhm.
to food. Definitely not healthy food. Gas
Right.
stations and
Yeah.
liquor stores and stuff like that in certain areas. But yeah, we have a lot of food deserts here in Evansville. Food insecurity is very big in our community, and I think that's kind of how we've gotten into this position that we're in
Yeah.
now with doing a food giveaway every Wednesday.
Food
Yeah.
giveaways every Wednesday.
Every
What's that
Wednesday.
entail?
So basically, in December 2023, there's a neighborhood Walmart behind us. And I think it was even before that, to be honest, even I think November, I actually started to reach out to Walmart.
Hmm.
And I knew that they were throwing away a ton of food.
Yeah.
And this is food that, a lot of it's fresh, some of it's frozen, but it's literally everything from meat to fresh produce to
Mhm.
vegetables to sweets, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of grocery stores and, big companies do this because they get a lot of shipments in. So instead of usually places give it to a food bank and different things, but
Hmm.
which is our food bank is Tri-State Food Bank. They didn't pick up for months, and I found that out. So I was like, you know what? Let us get the food. And
Yeah. Let's just do away with the middleman.
told me no, I don't know how many times, but I would always just keep popping up. And
Yeah.
finally, dude was like, you know what, just take the food.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of seeing Hugh, man. At this
Yeah.
point, I take the food, go over to our community center, make a Facebook post. Within 30 minutes, 300 something people show up to our community
Hell
center.
yeah.
The food is gone. So I said, we're gonna do this next week. So December 2023, all the way up until right now, we have been doing a food giveaway every week. And then that turned into us supporting, you know, shelters, us supporting other community centers, donating food to schools, whether it's fruit and snacks and different things. We've just become that number one food resource. And again, that's not what our nonprofit does, but we
Right.
just step in, and that's what our organization, you know, has done since the beginning. And you know,
Yeah.
if there's a need, it was mentoring, and then it turned into all these different things. But
Yeah.
we've been able to do that every year. Now we have partnerships with Costco's, Target, Walmart, Family Dollar, the Ford Center. These people literally give us the food and we give it out. You know, we make sure people get it. The people
Yeah.
that actually need it, we make sure they get it. And it's definitely a time of need right now with prices, groceries being, you know, as high as
Yeah.
they are. So it's been a journey, man. We bought a box truck. We bought, you know, a bigger space so we can actually store more food.
Sure.
Because our community center is not built for that. You know, we got computers and we got kids in there and different
Right.
things. So we've been able to use that center and just move things around every week. So if it's raining, if it's cold, we bring it inside.
I gotcha.
We got volunteers that show up every single week. We don't know who's going to show up, but 20, 30 people show up every week to make
Yeah.
sure the food goes out to the people that need it most. And it's just beautiful to watch.
You guys set up the same place every Wednesday?
Yeah,
Where
we
can,
set up
where
at
can
our
people find
community
you? If there's someone listening that needs some help, where can someone find you on a Wednesday?
So they can go to our community center. It's 1308 Van Avenue. Every Wednesday, we do it at our community center. And the time frame is in between 1 to 2 o'clock is when we start. But there's lines. There's people out there at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning just waiting. And
Yeah.
again, we tell people we're not a food bank. We're just doing what we can because, you know, you get a few people that may, I don't want to say complain, but they may feel a certain way about, hey, I'm working. You know, this is not a time where I can make it. We can only do what we can do, you know.
Right.
This is all volunteer based, so
Yeah.
we're literally leaving work to set up and do things and pick up. And I'm blessed to have people that, you know, show a lot of love because this is not easy, man. I spend about 20 plus hours a week. This is volunteer.
Yeah.
You know, I use my truck. My father-in-law is there with me every step of the way. So we're doing, you know, now we even added Costco's about a month ago. So we're doing Saturdays now. You know, we're up there at 6 o'clock in the morning. You got to pick up all the food and you got to take the food back. You got to organize all the food and then you got to get the food away. You know, so that may take 4 or 5 hours,
Sure.
you know, on a Saturday. And Costco's has been, you know, amazing with just making sure, you know, they put stuff aside for us and not just throwing stuff away. Because, you know, Walmart and Target, they're not as big as Costco's and Sam's, you know.
Right.
Sam's literally and Costco's can just go out there and throw all that stuff in a big dumpster like, you know, some people do. But they, you know, partner with us to make sure we can get it out there to the people that need it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild the amount of food that just gets tossed out.
Food waste is crazy right now.
Yeah. You had also mentioned the cuts that you've been seeing recently, new administration, a lot of different things going on right now. Has there been cuts happening that you've noticed that is directly hitting Evansville now?
Yeah, so there's after school programs, free lunch, like a lot of these things, you know, affect our families, and it's definitely gonna hit Evansville pretty hard.
Yeah.
So to not have, you know, as much access to the things that, you know, not only we're offering but others are offering, it's going to be a big problem. You know, I don't feel like there's already enough of you know, what we do and what other organizations may be doing as well. So to cut a lot of that, that's gonna, you know, we're gonna see some effects from that, you know, and not good ones. But I think as an organization like ourselves, we've been again blessed to be able to figure out not to depend on, you know, that type of funding because we're so used to not even getting it anyways. We've just been creative partnerships, and then also just figuring out, how to get the community involved.
Yeah.
Whether it's putting your own fundraisers together or just letting it be known, to the community, this is our need.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we do a good job of that. So you just got to be creative and figure out ways to, move through all of this until if things even get back to what they used to be.
Yeah, especially so going back to COVID, it seems like everything just, and everyone's so tired of talking about COVID, but it's not been the same since then, for a lot of people. It doesn't feel the same really at all for anyone, I don't feel like. Nothing really feels the same that it was before. And then I saw that you are part of Evansville City Council at large.
Yeah.
What is the at large part? I don't know if that's a dumb question. Because I was looking through and, I added like your wards and all of that, your different segments of town, and I get that, but your city council at large, what does that exactly mean?
Yeah, first off, don't ever think that, man, because there's still stuff I don't even know, and I'm a city councilman, but
right.
So at large, there's 3 spots, and basically at large, we're the entire city. So,
Gotcha.
For example, a ward. So, like I live in the second ward. So there's a person that is basically selected, and that ward votes for that individual, and they take care of that ward.
Gotcha.
So we're at large, so we take care of the entire city.
Gotcha.
And I didn't know anything about a lot of this stuff either, man. But one of the biggest things for me was I never really got into politics, even though having a nonprofit and being as involved as we are, we kind of in it anyways.
Right.
But I just got tired of reaching out to people and they never responded back to me. So I was like, how I was raised was you don't complain about, things, or either you're going to do something about it or you're going to shut up.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't want to shut up. So I was like, let me do something about it. Ended up running and winning. But my thing has always been, I want to see you serving. I don't want to see you election time. And it was a lot of that, People would reach out to me and, we want to use your community center. I'm like, I haven't seen you at all. And now
till campaign time rolls around. Now you're knocking at the door and needing support, and where was your support the last? Yeah,
I don't move like that.
Yeah,
so I want to be, and what I feel like I have been is I should say, not was, but is available. I want people to be able to call, and you got to think it's the city.
Yeah. So how many calls are you getting a day? Just
listen. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How many calls? What's one of the craziest things you think you've gotten, or one of the things you got, and you're just like,
man, I don't think one thing has been crazy. I think people don't. So we named the jobs, right? So all those jobs obviously have clients, have people that I have to, that I communicate with and talk to. So I'm now currently, I average about well over 100 plus a day. That's phone calls, that's emails, that's social. I'm heavily active on social media, and I got clients that I do social media for. So responding back to messages, and then sometimes responding back to messages with email, and then a text or a phone call. That's what I think people don't see, that behind the scenes.
Right.
So that's a whole different level, because city council took it like times 30.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know why I said 30. That sounds like a lot. So it went to a whole different level.
Right.
My emails just went, they went crazy.
Yeah.
And anybody can reach you. And our phone number, we put our phone number on the website. So if people potholes or street lights are not on, anybody can reach out. And my thing is, I want to respond.
Right.
So I don't want to be what I was mad about when I would reach out.
Right.
And nobody would say anything back. So I get back to people.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it even harder too, because I legit get back to folks. And when people look at you and see you as a community guy, a lot of people gonna ask for help. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about with that discipline and that balance, and even setting boundaries, man, because I got a family and I'm not.
Right. Yeah, you gotta have time for your own.
Yeah, if I'm not able to do, this, then that's if I can't take care of my family or wake up and, feel healthy and energized and do this work, then nobody is going to get served. So
Right.
I think telling people no was a big thing when I talk to people that may be in the same situation or just want advice. I think a lot of people don't factor that in, like telling
Right.
people no, and then also setting those boundaries because people gonna keep asking, and if you keep giving, they're gonna keep asking. So if you don't, put a wall up and tell folks, I got a cutoff time when I'm with my family. I'm with my family, and even the gym, I run into people in the gym
I just saw your story that night. It was like 10 o'clock. You was in there getting it in.
Man,
And I was like, bro, it just, I don't want to be that guy. But it's like after a long day and all that, man, you're not going to find a lot of people in there at 10 o'clock at night, It's,
man,
it's a different level of commitment.
And it's something that's good for me. And like I said, I see a lot of people in there in the sauna. I just want to get in the sauna, man, and just zone out. And maybe somebody, I'm not saying this in a bad way or none of that, but it may be somebody that want to talk in the sauna. I'm like, bro, I just want to get in the sauna real quick because I'm in and out. I usually don't stay in the gym, longer than an hour because I get home. Even though the kids are asleep, I still got stuff that I need to do and take care of, whether it's washing dishes or whatever it is. I don't know. We still got, stuff to take care of.
Life still happening.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm an early bird. I get up, 4:30, 5 o'clock. So, and sometimes that may be things that I move around to. It may not be where I'm getting up at 5 and then actually going to work. I may just get up and just go through my routine.
Right.
I'm just taking my time to get ready to take the kids to school. But that's just stuff that comes with this. So I've learned to not complain about, if people reaching out to me, that you got to look at that as a good thing too, though, because people, they know that they can depend on you. They know that you get things done because people are not going to reach out to you if you're not out here doing, good things, and they know that, you somebody that they can, count on.
Yeah.
So
your phone starts getting quiet. It's probably not a good thing necessarily if your phone doesn't stop ringing as much.
Yeah.
Did you ever find yourself? Did you battle with depression, anxiety at a young age? Was that something that you encountered or have dealt with?
I have, man. Young age for sure. I feel like middle school was a tough time, man. I mean, I dealt with I feel like I dealt with some depression then, and then also I think COVID. And that goes back to what we were just talking about. So during COVID, a lot of people slowed down, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know what was going on. For me, I started to think about, how are people going to get food? How are, kids that I know only eat at school going to be able to? So my mind started to go into that. So I reached out to some of the principals and basically was just trying to see how I could help. And back then, what happened was the government, I guess, gave some money out. Can't remember all of it, but gave money out for the schools to basically give out lunches Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So what I would do was go up there and volunteer. But what we realized quickly was kids were not showing up. So all these schools were trying to figure out. And I'm like, you know what? They don't have transportation. They can't get here. So that's why we're seeing all this food, just going to waste. Right. So I started to take the food and I made posts every day because it turned into not 3 days. It turned into basically Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Because I would still have sack lunches and still have things left over. But I would go around and deliver to people. And obviously, when that time, everybody. I mean, as soon as I think I'm done driving around 4 or 5 hours, I'll check my inbox. There's another, 10, 15 people saying, hey, we really need food. We got kids. You don't just go home, And I still had, access to some stuff. And I would call some of the restaurants at the time where, they were still cooking and doing things, but they would have a ton of food that they would just give away.
Yeah.
So I literally was doing that every single day, not realizing that mentally and physically I was like worn out.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at pictures, man, back in the day, and my wife and I were having a baby. So it was a lot going on at the time, and I wasn't, to me, really taking care of myself, man, at that point. But you'll see, like I lost a lot of weight, man, 30, 40 pounds. I look bad. You could tell that I was going through something, but
Yeah.
I still was showing up, still was serving, still was doing stuff. And
Yeah.
man, at that time, I don't think I told anybody no, because I knew. And when I would show up, like it was emotional, and I still kind of get emotional just talking about it. Showing up to people's, house and apartment or whatever it is, and seeing how some people were living, and knowing that there's kids in that environment.
Right.
But then also them saying thank you and breaking down and telling me, we wouldn't have been able to eat today if you didn't come. So then that puts the pressure on. Man, I gotta come. I'm coming back tomorrow too, because you see the kids and you see the situation.
Yeah.
And it's just like to see that all over town. I was going to places that I never really even been.
You ever find yourself in neighborhoods you were surprised to be in?
Yeah, I never. You know about it. I know everywhere in Evansville, but some of these places I just never. These streets and certain areas, like I just never really had a need to go on that side of town. So to be in some of those places, it really just opened my eyes to things. And then I'm like, man, people are really dependent on me. So I was getting calls. This was before we had our baby girl, but I was getting calls 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. My phone was on. It wasn't cut off or silent at that time. So somebody may call. I heard you're the person that's giving food out. Can we get something? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm up.
Gotta go.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing every single day. Sundays I would try to chill, but then again, somebody calling.
Yeah.
You try to help where you can. And it was wearing me down, man. And that was I had to pull myself out of that. It was a very
I was gonna see when you talk about the boundaries and saying no, and you had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to see that you kind of fell into that slump the same time you were kind of overwhelmed, not saying no, hadn't maybe found those boundaries quite yet for yourself. Was that tough whenever you kind of came to that point where you're like, I have to start saying no, and maybe the phone has to get silenced, and that probably added to another level of kind of anxiety and maybe a little more depression, because now you're like, damn, like.
It didn't, to be honest, man. Because I'm a family man, so I grew up on that.
Yeah.
I see what my parents, I got to see that growing up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't hard once we, our baby girl, that family is everything.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't hard to transition into that. But I had to figure something else out, which leads into, the routine. People are like, why get up so early? If you got this many jobs and got this much going on, getting up earlier, that gives me, I don't know what time you get up, but the average person may get up at 8 o'clock. I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, so that's already a 3-hour head start. You know what I'm saying? So to get up and to go through my routine, pray, read, shower again, and just whatever I need to do to just get my day started. What I don't do is grab that phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people do, And if I did do that, and I see the social media mentions and the messages and then the emails, like to wake up to that, that's not, I wouldn't be able to get my day started the right way if I woke up and that's the first thing I grabbed was that phone and start responding to people.
Yeah.
Because again, that's when you're dealing with and working with 100 plus people a day, that's a lot of moods, that's a lot of attitudes, that's a lot of, and not saying that everybody's negative, but it's just a lot of just a lot of personalities and things that I need to ease into that. Like I can't just jump head first into the pool with that. I got to kind of put my feet in there first and just start my day off the right way, and then I just go from there.
Yeah, there's something, I'm kind of a similar way. The first couple hours of my day, I typically am up before Briley is. She sleeps in a little later than I do, so it's like that first hour or two of me being awake and nobody else is up. If I didn't have that time in the morning to kind of drown myself and like bring it together mentally, I don't know the kind of person I would be come 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've had days where it seems like I get up and I'm, you're just rushed right into the mix of life and things are just, and I can tell by noon, I'm spent. I'm like, like I didn't get myself right. I'm not mentally prepared for this. And that's kind of what I was leading into because I'm pretty active on social media too, and I see every morning you in your Bible. Is that what you're reading? Or it's like a scripture. I don't. What book is that you post
So
every morning?
the one that's behind the book that I'm reading is it's a Daily Bread. I've been reading the Daily Bread, man. I mean, my grandma and a lady from my church called Sister Slaughter gave me that book, man, and it's basically every day is something different.
Hmm.
It's just a scripture and a story.
Yeah.
Excuse me, every day. And I love to read, so I'm a huge reader. John Maxwell is he's my favorite author. That's who got me reading. Once I stumbled across one of his books, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read every single one of his books.
Yeah.
God knowing that this man has written, man, I still haven't finished all his books yet. That's how
Yeah.
many books that he's written. But
Right.
that got me, started as far as reading. But the book that is always on top is Maxwell Daily Reader. So it's kind of the same as the Daily Bread,
Hmm.
but it's every day it's something different.
Yeah.
But
Whenever you post those pages on there, I always read them.
yeah, I even try to do it clear enough so because my wife was like, why you always post that? I'm like, because there's people that could actually
Yeah.
benefit from that, because I'm like, when I read it, and I've read that book now probably 4 years in a row, but I still read other books in between. But since it's just something every day, it's not
Right.
long. It takes a
Yeah.
minute or two just to read the page. But there's stuff on there that really fits for the day, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's crazy. Like this day that's what I needed to hear.
Hmm.
So to hear and see messages of other people saying the same thing,
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes, man, it may get up to 20, 30 messages just off of a morning post. Like
Right.
people just, I needed to hear that. I needed
Yeah.
to see that. So I'm like, why wouldn't I, share that every morning?
Hmm.
And that's just, again, post that and get right off of there. Like it's just it's
Yeah.
programmed now where I like after I'm done reading, I snap it real quick, post it,
Yeah.
done. Phone's back where it goes. But yeah, man, I think that really has played a part too with just my routine and just setting the tone for the morning, man. Every book that I've read by him, man, it's just been amazing, and it fit with whatever I was going through and whatever I needed at that time. It's
Right.
crazy how many books this guy has written, and that's a goal is to I'm gonna meet him one of these days, man.
Yeah.
I gotta make that happen.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, so that's kind of my routine in the morning, man, and again just having that discipline. But reading has played a huge part in my life, and I think I try to push some of that on some folks sometimes because I know what it did for me, and I
Yeah.
think you find whatever works for you. I'm not telling you to read
Right.
motivational books. It may be Harry Potter,
Yeah.
it may be whatever, but I think
Hmm.
reading does a lot of good for you, and
I think it slows you down.
for sure.
We like, and I'm guilty of it. I'm one of those where just being active on social media, whenever I get up first thing, it's the first thing I do is just check it, notifications, see if I got any messages, what's going on, reaching out to people, the podcast and stuff, making sure I'm not missing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild, and I catch myself doing it, and I hate myself for it. And every time and I've gotten to the point now where I catch myself in the act of doing it, and I get off there immediately. But I've always said Facebook is the worst place in the world to be, in my opinion. It's the worst place in the world to be. And I would tell you, if you're not like, just like either promoting like your brand or business, or like checking up on family pictures from family that lives across the country you don't get to see,
Yeah.
like you're wasting your time on there. Get off. The comments on Facebook, I've never seen a more negative place. And I catch myself, I'll get up in the morning and I'll be on Facebook and there'll be a post that maybe I feel some type of way about, and then I'll be like, okay, let me go to the comments, and then I'm reading.
Yeah.
And it's
that whole.
this is it's 6:30 in the morning, and here I am, 200 comments deep in some comment section, just reading the nastiest comments, just negative, and now I'm in bed and I'm pissed, and it's not even 7, and I'm just like, I did it again.
Yeah.
Here I am, and I'm like, phone down, off of Facebook. Like, you don't even know anyone or any of those people you were just letting affect your mood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just, like I said, within the last probably 6 months, got to the point where I catch myself in the act of doing it, and I'm like, okay, gotta step back. But like the amount of people that are just waking up and just digesting this negativity every single day, and
Yeah,
without that hour of time in the morning to ground yourself and at least prepare yourself for getting on there and reading these things, it's just Yeah, the social media is a huge part of it, and especially like I said, we talked about it with the kids, but even as adults,
It's
you
hard.
see some of the nastiest versions of people through social media,
I mean,
man. Like,
and I think now it's crazy, and I even gotta watch what I say. Like what you said, you hate yourself for it. You even gotta watch even those words,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
know you didn't mean nothing by it, but just reading.
yeah.
Like I even, and I knew that, but reading things that watch what you say and how you say it, and
Hmm.
watch what you read and what you look at. Like you saying first thing in the morning, man. I used to look at it and I just was feeling weird,
Yeah.
tired, drained, and I'm
Hmm.
just like off. And I'm reading more and I'm like, that's literally what they're talking about. Like the first thing I'm looking at is negativity.
Hmm.
So my mind is already going into negative stuff.
Yeah.
So that was what I had to learn, man. Even just saying the word try. Like, oh, I'm gonna try to go. Like I stopped all
Yeah.
of that. Like,
Yeah.
and then like what you said, that's a
Hmm.
good thing. Catching yourself, because a lot of people don't even catch. That's where you start. And
Right.
I would catch myself. Even now, I may slip up and say something, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, ah, and then I
Yeah.
say, differently. But catching yourself is a start, man, because that
Definitely.
plays a big part. Is what you say and how you say it,
Right.
and then what you're just taking in, man. Like
Yeah.
you got to tell yourself, I know, you got a business and you got to check. Same with me. Like there's there's people and things that there's no matter how negative or what it
Hmm.
is, I still have to respond. Like that's my
Right.
job. So I have to prepare myself for that. I don't want
Yeah.
to just go straight into the
Yeah.
negativity. Even doing this, I don't think people, because of social media, we get a lot of love. But there are some people that's gonna come with some of
Haters.
that, man. It's gonna come with it.
They're
Just
everywhere.
I don't like you. So people like, why would this person just doesn't like me?
Just
I don't
doesn't
know.
like me.
Yeah, they're
We like
not.
to be angry as people. We enjoy to be angry. There was a study done. It was like a Stanford study of people. They were going through emotions and like seeing how people reacted. They'd show them nice stuff and then they
Yeah,
show them bad stuff and stuff that would make you angry, stuff that make you sad, whatever it was. And then they went back and they were trying to figure out of all of these emotions that you basically have went through, like which one did you enjoy the most? Which one did you like the most?
and people say angry.
Angry. It was overwhelmingly majority people enjoyed the feeling of like anger or like being mad or upset. It makes them feel some type of way. Like I don't know what it is. And I had one guy on the podcast that came on and he was telling me he was like I was kind of nervous about it. He's like I haven't talked about some of this stuff, whatever the case may be. And for me, I'm like that doesn't really affect me too much because I've basically put the worst of the worst of my life on this platform already. So like it's
Hmm.
out there. So it doesn't bother me at all. But I tried to tell him, I'm like, dude, look, here's the thing. Like, if there's someone that sees anything that you've said or sees a video, whatever it is, and they're hating on you, they were hating on you before.
Yeah,
It didn't just happen because of this. They didn't like you before, and probably they don't. It's not just you. You just happen to be that person for them today.
that's it.
Yeah, it's
Can't
yeah,
worry about that.
nah, that's the social media. And considering what I kind of do with this is all social media. So
Hmm.
it's like a really fine line that I find myself in of like being in it too much and then feeling like I'm not doing enough to promote the pod or whatever the case may be, and finding that line of where you kind of have to cut it off. But yeah, it's just it seems like Facebook is just the worst. I don't know what it is, man. Those people
Yeah,
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook is different, man. That's a different ball game. That's a platform where I feel is a lot. Because you can, Instagram and all. You gotta post something, a picture and all that. You gotta post some of all of them. But I just feel like it's way more people and it's just way more access to put crazy comments and stuff on there, and you can do whatever and say whatever. But yeah, that's one thing too that I've learned. It doesn't matter how nice, how good of a person you are.
Hmm.
Some are gonna still find something that I don't like about this person. And like
Right.
I said, I've witnessed it where I don't even know. I say 9 times out of 10, I don't even know half the people that dislike me or have tried to stop something that I had going on, whether it was whiny or personally.
Hmm.
And I used to, think to myself, why would this person want to, like the community garden? Why would anybody not want to see a community garden, right?
Right.
But there's always,
Yeah.
whether it's control, gatekeep, who knows? There's a list of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to go through the list to try to pick why this person or why these people are even trying to. So I'm just going to get it done regardless. Whatever I need to, get through, I'm going to get through it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's a ton of folks that have tried to stop literally our food giveaway. We just had a situation with that where tried to snatch that from us. Like we've been doing it for how long now? Nobody's had an issue. And then,
What kind of issue could you find?
I have no idea.
Was someone trying to donate some food to people that need it? Like,
right? The food that wasn't even being picked up.
It seems like I don't know if it's like just from my life experiences, but like to me, I have this problem, some might say, of like, I like for people like that, or for like you doing a food drive, like, I don't know. I can't imagine like and you see people that get upset about these things.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why do you care? Like, you don't have, like, you're obviously, it's some sort of like an immaturity level, but it's like, you don't have anything else to focus on in your life. Like, I just feel like me and like my wife are so caught up. We're going every which direction all the time. I'm like, how do you find time to care negatively so much about what somebody else is doing? Like, it just tells me you have such a lack of positive going on in your life. And it's like, why?
Yeah, man, that's something that I don't even want to understand anymore, because it just doesn't. It's not gonna make any sense. And people legit like, why would such and such? I'm like, you would have to ask.
Care.
I don't care and don't know. But my thing is, when it gets to a point where they're really, putting themselves or trying to get in the way, especially when it's something that I know is going to benefit our community and help other people, then and when I say fight, not physically, but I don't mind,
Sure.
Well, if that's what it's going to have to be, then we'll do that at the end of the day. But like I said, fighting for Granddaddy's garden spot like that, if we would have lost, that would have stayed a vacant lot instead of a community garden. So,
Right.
okay, we got to present and get in front of folks. I'm going to lay it all out there. This is how great this is going to be, and this is what this is going to do for our community.
Yeah.
So now you go. What's the problem with the community garden? Because you're going to have to tell all these people why you're against it. And that's kind of what, even having a platform, social media, it comes with a lot, good and bad, but then too, letting folks know what's really going on. So when we put that out there that, Tri-State was wanting to take the food, I didn't even respond back. I just put it out there and let people, hear it. And that's it. I'm not going to go through the comments and try to, this person, well, Tri-State need the food more than you are. You don't even know the whole, they wasn't picking up almost a year and some changes before it became an issue. Social media, the news, a lot of people are picking up what we're doing. We're not doing it to say, hey, look at me. We're doing it, bring awareness.
Right.
Other businesses to possibly donate. It started with Walmart, then it went to Target, then it went to Costco's, then it went to the Ford Center. They saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not going to go through and explain that to everybody. Let them believe, well, that's not right. They lost funding. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through and explain to every single person, why it's important. All we want to do is get the food that we've been getting and give it to the people like we've been doing. Yeah. And that's it. We don't want to get into politics and do all of that. Again, even if I broke it down to individuals in a way where it makes perfect sense to you and I, some people still not gonna get it. So what's the point?
Yeah, at some point, it's like some point we gotta get past that. Like this whole like you said, whether it's kind of gatekeeping or whether it's just out of just ignorance or just hatred in your heart or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. It just seems like we're so like advancing so far in this life so fast, and it's like, when do we get past that? Like, when do you like? I don't know. You just try to wrap your mind around like the thinking of some of these people whenever you're doing the things that you're doing, and you can't even like, how did you even get to that like set of thinking? Like, how did you even end up there? And like,
it's wild.
Why would it mean so much to you to want to even like go against this? Like, and like I've said before, like whether you're religious or not, like I do think we're in some sort of like spiritual warfare of good and evil right now, and like whenever I've kind of just come to the point whenever I see people like that, I'm like, okay, you're kind of just like an evil person. And that's just like,
Yeah.
and you know, and I don't think that like that labels you forever, but like, but
Mhm.
what you're presenting to me right now is like, okay, it's not even personal, but like, I just can't, you know, you do your thing, and like, I can't even associate with that, you know, and I have, yeah, I don't know, I see that, and like just hearing those stories, like you just said, it's like, what the hell, like, what are we doing?
At this point, I'm like, we're just gonna keep doing what we're
Got
doing.
to,
At this point. Like we don't wanna go back and forth with folks.
sure,
We truly just want to serve.
mm-hmm.
And what I have noticed since starting Young and Established, there's always gonna be a group
Yeah,
of folks. I don't know why or who. I just know that there's gonna be somebody
yep,
that's gonna be, mad about any type of good stuff
mm-hmm.
that's happening. And that's what, you can't even avoid that. But you can, you got control over yourself. So responding, going back and forth with folks, or just removing myself from certain individuals that I know that they don't want any good from me. They just wanna, do something that makes them feel good or looks good. You can tell that right away. Like I said, man, I can peep,
Yeah.
those kind of things quickly, and I
You
don't
run
even,
into a lot of people that they
oh, for
want
sure.
to they want to look good,
For sure.
and yeah,
All of that, and it is a lot. But my thing is too, I don't even want to call these people out. I just stay away from it.
right,
I don't think our missions align with that organization, or
yeah,
I say stuff like that,
yeah,
And if it gets too crazy, then hey, this person is just not a good person, and I don't want to be around that person.
yeah,
But I start off with that. We just don't, they're doing what they're doing, we're doing what we're doing. Let's just keep it that way.
yeah,
And I think that's the best way to put it. Because again, even if you explain, what I've noticed is you can give it to people, you could break it down,
right,
and they're still gonna, what? That doesn't make that. Why would they do that? Or why would that person want to stop you from? I'm telling you from my experience.
yeah,
So if I'm telling you this person or this group is doing this, what do I gain from it? I'm not lying about it. I'm just
right,
telling you this person or this group or whatever has tried to make things very difficult. And for whatever reason, they can, word it however they want to word it to make it sound like we're doing something we're not supposed to. Or
right,
we've seen all of that. But
yeah.
good things are going to continue to, push through. And that's what we've seen as an
Yeah.
organization. We do good work, so good things are going to continue to happen.
I believe that
Yeah, for sure.
wholeheartedly. I've been telling people that a lot recently. Actually, I've had this sort of come to Jesus moment, however you want to look at it, of just like the last year of my life. You know, pretty much just it's really simple. Like the good, whatever you put into this life is what you're gonna get out of it. And you hear people say that all the time. You're like, that's so cliche, it's corny, and that's what I thought for the longest time. And then, like I said, just the last 6 months, it's become very obvious in my life of mine and my wife's life of just like if we wake up and we do what we're supposed to do, and we are taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, we're being good people. Good things will come out of that. And like I think it's really that simple. It's like waking up every day and just doing, even on the days you don't want to do it. And I'm not saying that you have to wake up and love it every single day because I don't, and I don't think everyone wakes up. And there's days you wake up and you're just like, today's one of them days, but you still do it anyway because you know that's what you're supposed to do. And I think it's those moments like that. The more good you put into it, there's no choice but for good to come out of it. I really wholeheartedly believe that.
I agree with that. I do too, man.
Wrap this up here. What's Young and Established got coming up? What can people be on the lookout for? You got any big events coming up?
We do.
Something to get the word out?
So one of the biggest events we actually just added, and again, that's just whiny. Special needs prom. Same time we were doing Greg, they got after school. All that got canceled. So they canceled their prom, and I just, it was something that I was even thinking about. But then I had people reaching out, so I'm like, okay, that confirms it. I guess we need to put something together.
Yeah.
So April 25th, we're gonna do basically a special needs prom at Sworka. They're gonna let us use their venue.
Where's that?
And it's, again, I'm terrible. It's kind of on Main,
I got
North
you.
Main,
Okay.
kind of in that area. But yeah, we're going to do that. But then after that, we have our teachers appreciation celebration that we're going to do for our teachers. As I mentioned, you know, a lot of our teachers are quitting, and it was a way for us to show them that we care. Because
Right.
every teacher that I've met with, they don't feel appreciated, and there's a lack of resources. You know, teachers may need certain things,
Yeah.
and they can't get access to it. Teachers are paying for stuff out of pocket. That's not, you know, our teachers are already doing a lot.
They don't get paid enough to do that.
No, not at all. So that's going to be May 3rd, and that's a big event, you know, only for teachers. They get to bring a +1, but everything is free. We're paying for literally everything, and we just want them to, you know, feel appreciated. Because if it continues, we're not going to have teachers, and I don't think people are paying attention to that. You know, to lose hundreds of teachers in such a short time, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah, like what? That's a scary process to even try to think about what comes next.
And when you know the numbers, it's even scarier because I'm telling you, teachers are quitting. They're quitting.
What do schools do? Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, they even like break it down because you're like, God, I hope that that's not even the case. But at some point, like you said, it's happening. Obviously, in numbers that people are unaware of, and it's like schools will be closing, schools will be consolidating, schools. I don't know. I don't know what you
To
do.
me, that's kind of like what's next. That's what I mean. You have to. You know, there's really, from my experience, there's really no plan. There's nothing put in place. And I've met with, you know, the superintendent, and I've met with other people, but there's really no plan. You know, and you really technically don't have to have a degree or anything like that if you want to be a teacher and your background checks out. You can go in there and be a teacher, and they're going to put you where you don't know nothing about math, but that's all they have. And you're going to be a math teacher. And that's kind of what we're seeing. And again,
that can't be great for anybody.
Nah,
It can't be
I don't
great for
think that's
anybody.
going to be able to hold
Yeah.
up, you know. So
Can't.
there's really nothing put in place, but that's our way of figuring out how we can do something. You know?
Yeah.
But those are the only two, and then of course I'm sure there's going to be a ton of things, but those two are the main focuses right now. Is that April 25th, and then also May 3rd. So that's on social media. We're putting those things out there, but there's going to be a ton of more things. You know, we got a lot of stuff that we do over the summer program, but then also just partnerships and things that we're going to be announcing real soon.
Cool.
Why I need, man, we're doing
it.
We're doing some stuff, and we got the community backing us, and that to me
that's awesome.
is what's important. You know,
Yeah.
I never ask executive directors or, you know, people that work for these nonprofits or organizations. I ask the people, you know, what is this organization doing? You know, I used to ask the kids, well, what are you getting from going to this place?
Right.
Kids are gonna tell you everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, ask our kids what YNE has done for them. Ask their parents or ask people that have been involved. Don't ask me. You know,
Right.
I tell you what we do, and you can look at it on social media. But again, a lot of that, you know, I want to go directly to the people that's being served, and they're gonna tell you the truth. And that's how I always looked at it. But yeah, man, we're blessed. I'm always happy to, you know, talk about things related to community stuff and YNE. So I even appreciate the opportunity to do it. And we I'm sure can do this again. I need to do this again.
Yeah, bro.
Man.
Yeah, we'll do it again, man.
For sure.
So yeah, guys, April 25th, special needs prom, and then we got May
3rd, Teachers Appreciation.
May 3rd, Teachers Appreciation. YNE's got food drives going on every single Wednesday, okay? Every single week. If you guys are not familiar with YNE, I know I just became familiar within the last 6 to 8 months, which is going back to how I was talking about. I'm pretty active on social media, and I'm like, how do I not know about this going on? And so it just makes me think, you know, there's a lot of people out there that aren't even as tapped in as, say, I or you are. So it's like there's no way they can be getting information that they need to get, which sucks. And hopefully we can turn that around a little bit. But
For sure.
So yeah, guys, Young and Established, check them out. They're all over the social medias. They are literally doing God's work in the southern part of Indiana, all around the tri-state, man. What you guys are doing is incredible. You know, I wish nothing but the best for you guys, because this community needs it. It needs you guys, needs you, you know, in a bad way. So, Make sure you guys are checking that out. If you guys can help anyway, if even you can go to my page or go to Courtney's page, posts are getting shared. If the least you can do is share a post of mine or share a post of his or Young and Established, whatever the case may be, help out. It's for the kids. They absolutely need you and all the help that they can get right now. Scary times for a lot of people, and any sort of help that can be given, I know is greatly appreciated by you and the whole organization. Courtney, thanks again, man. Thanks for coming over.
Man, my
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys, if you guys haven't already, make sure you're heading over to Hydrate12 IV Therapy, Wellness and Hydration. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Get your IV scheduled today. Head over to Young and Established. Give them that like, give them a follow, get tapped into what they got going on, man. They're doing great stuff. And if there's anyone that you're going to support or put your time and energy into, I think it's this organization. They deserve it, and they would appreciate it. We got new episodes coming out, new guests every single week. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe so y'all are up to date. Turn the bell notifications on so you guys aren't missing whenever these videos come out. I love you guys. We'll see you at the next one. Peace.